Jewish Museum and Tolerance Center. Not a Good Time for Love. Love Stories of Holocaust Survivors. I am pleased to greet you at the Jewish Museum and Tolerance Center at the Not a Good Time for Love exhibition. Our exhibition commemorates the International Holocaust Remembrance Day, the 27th of January. It is dedicated to stories of 11 lovers who survived the Holocaust. Every year, it becomes more and more difficult to find a new vision of the Holocaust. This year, we decided to focus on stories by 11 lovers, individuals who were able to pass on their memory and tell their stories. 10 of the stories ended happily. These people managed to survive. Our exhibition is a study on how the Holocaust tragedy can be remembered and passed on, and whether it is possible to portray and express the emotions associated with the Holocaust through contemporary art. The exhibition consists of 2 parts. You can see and read fragments from these people's memoirs on the walls. They are not arranged in a chronological order. The second part is works of contemporary art, mainly by Israeli artists, but also those who work with the Holocaust theme and try to depict it somehow. Behind my back, you can see screens with actors telling the stories presented at our exhibition, as well as photographs of the places where these stories took place. The exhibition geography is quite wide, almost all Europe, Germany, Austria, Czechoslovakia, Hungary and Russia. The exhibition is divided into parts. All stories here are displayed in a non-chronological order. They are united by a common theme and a common image which echoes the works presented at the exhibition. In the first section, these are images of hope, despair, and those feelings that helped people to survive in inhuman conditions such as the Holocaust. The first work at the exhibition was made by the artist Sigalit Landau. It is called Hope. As you know, contemporary artists very often use unconventional and unusual materials to create their works. In this case, it is sea salt and a rope that was immersed in the Dead Sea. Although the work is called Hope, there is a counterpoint and a contradiction, because a rope loop is a symbol of death that could have killed many people. Salt is also the substance that prevents wounds from healing and prevents memories from fading away. Next work was made by the artist Rame Arthur. He used an interesting technology for creation. Metal and layering metals technique were used for the work. It's a metal alloy with brass. As you can see, this is a ringed spiral. It's interesting to look at it from different angles. It's a kind of Mobius strip, which is also associated with an image of human memory. This is an artist's attempt to represent the unimaginable, human memory, and those memories that people appeal to during their lives. It is an attempt to capture the people's traumatic experiences during the Holocaust. Here is the work of one of the most famous artists in this exhibition, the Polish artist Miroslav Balka, for whom the Holocaust is a topic of great importance. His family was persecuted during the Holocaust. Miroslav Balka has an unusual technique. He takes objects found in the ground, different archaeological fragments, fragments of other people's lives, memories and houses, and uses them for his works. He explains that thus he passes someone else's memory to the museum, preserves and prolongs its life. As a rule, he never names his works. This work is called 68 by 45 by 57. Those are length, width and height of someone's memory. This work is very simple. There is only a metal plate with a carpet and a light bulb that symbolizes home and comfort under this roof. When we hear the numbers of 6 million or 20 million Jews who died in the Holocaust, it is quite difficult for us to grasp them, and we interpret them as something abstract. When we hear stories of certain people telling about their death or salvation, we are much more impressed by them. Here we can see a work of the artist Bugna Burskaya, a photo collage of 9 fragments of Traces of Blood on Snow. The artist dedicates the work to fates of all women who suffered and died during the war and the Holocaust. This work very actively interacts with the viewer's imagination. When we see traces of blood, we are, willingly or unwillingly, trained to reconstruct. Imagine what crimes could have been committed and what could have happened here. On the one hand, it's difficult not to notice traces of blood because they are so distinct and bright. Bright red blood on dazzling white snow. On the other hand, you can imagine that when the snow melts, the blood will be absorbed by the ground. Thus, the memory of these crimes and these memories will not be easy to preserve and pass on. But in this case, the artist intentionally takes photos of these traces of blood to show how important it is to remember the places where the crimes were committed. Lee Yanor's work, called Runner, is simple and easy to understand. A running couple is fleeing from something, running towards the unknown, towards their future. It's quite a sentimental work. The most interesting thing here is probably how the work was done. At first, the artist takes blurred pictures in motion and then prints them on silk. If you look at it from different angles, you'll notice the figures moving. This work is important for our exhibition because it is about the road, the unknown, and the lovers saving their lives. There's a stone down here. If we look closely, it's not just a stone because it has human traits. It's a human head and an image of people who once may have lived in this house. A shard, a fragment of someone else's memory, other people's lives, with which Miroslav Balka loves to work so much. A fragment brought and deposited in a museum starts speaking and tries to tell us its story. It was possible to identify a ghetto resident or a concentration camp prisoner by hands, so it is not a work of modern art, but a sketch of a real person. The work helps us look at the Holocaust and the survivors through the artist's eyes. It is important to mention that people in concentration camps did not have names or nicknames. They only had serial numbers, which were usually tattooed on their hands. One of the stories on the wall tells about Lali and Gita, if you call their full names, Ludwig and Gisela. The image on the hands and tattoo becomes the key one. This is the only story translated into Russian. You can find the novel Tattooist of Auschwitz. Lali was the tattooist who tattooed Gita. One of the most important topics in the Holocaust history is immigration from Europe, when people wanted to get as far as possible from places where they had had tragic experiences. The three main destinations for immigration were the USA, Australia and Palestine. The latter became the State of Israel after the war. It is no coincidence that our exhibition includes two works about the sea, because, as a rule, people emigrated by ship. In most cases, the conditions on those ships were completely unsuitable for humans. People often traveled in luggage compartments, lower holds, or by ships for cattle transportation, but people did not care. Therefore, in both works, the image of the sea is a place that also cleanses and washes away the experience and memory that people brought with them. An image of uncertainty. People in the open sea do not know what the future holds for them, but they remember what they left behind. In a collage of 4 very gloomy and dark over-processed photographs, only one photo shows the horizon, the future that people hope for. And in this work, which as a rule causes the most ironic remarks, ridicule and misunderstanding, the artist refuses to depict the sea and uses only one irregular line, such a water surface, a water ripple. She writes one phrase, "see you." It's a play on words, homophones. The hope for a possible meeting somewhere outside Europe in the future, and also the sea. Of course, contemporary art can be quite complex and confusing, but it is important to remember that the meaning and emotions are generated only in a context where works of art are combined with remembered topics and images. Now you can judge whether we managed to arouse your emotions and convey the topic of the Holocaust by visual and museum means.